Street Smarts, straight talk for kids, teens, and parents with Detective J.J. Bittenbinder is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. And by Motorola, a worldwide provider of two-way radios, cellular telephones, pagers, and semiconductors. At Motorola, quality means the world to us. And the Freddie Mac Foundation, committed to helping children, youth, and families by focusing attention on their needs and supporting positive solutions. Please welcome Detective J.J. Bittenbinder.
Thank you very much. My name is J.J. Bittenbinder, and I'm a policeman. I'm not a TV cop. I'm not a Hollywood cop. I'm a real homicide detective, and I've seen it all. I've been a homicide detective for 16 years. Today we're going to talk about three areas of concern for the families across the nation. We're going to talk about drugs. We're going to talk about gangs. And we're going to talk about street safety for children. Now my role in this is that I'm a lifeguard. You're my swimmers, and you're in the water off the beach. And out in the back I've got the sharks. And if I cannot keep the sharks off of my swimmers, I have to take my swimmers out of the water. But if I can teach my swimmers how to keep the sharks away themselves, then you can go anywhere you want and swim. This is called empowerment through education, and that's what this is all about. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are rough. They're shocking. But I'm not telling them to you because they're shocking. I'm telling them to you because they're true. The first thing I want to tell you, there are no absolutes. Nothing works all the time. There is no procedure or no method that is going to make you safe in every case. There just isn't. You're going to have choices to make. And that's what this is all about. Choices. Making the right choices. Let me tell you a story. True story. A car pulls in from another town, pulls into this one town, and they go into the parking lot of a closed fast food restaurant. In the parking lot, there were three guys who were standing there. And as this car pulled up, the three guys in the car yelled out, "Hey, are you in the whatever gang it was? Are you in?" And those three guys looked at one another and they said, "Yeah, we're in that gang." And the three guys in the car says, "Can you tell us where we can get some marijuana?" And the three guys said, "Yeah, come on, we'll get in the car with you. We'll tell you where you can get some." Those three guys got into the car. Actually, there were four of them by then. Got into the car with these three guys from the other town. And they took them up and down the streets, and they took them into an alley. And after they took them out of the car, they supposedly to go buy some marijuana. They took them out of the car. Then they pulled the knives on them. One by one, they took them back to their car. And one by one, they killed him. They stabbed him to death. One guy was stabbed 52 times, 26 times in the face. During the statements, one of these young lads said that while he was stabbing this one, he said, the guy looked up at me and he says, "Don't stab me anymore, man. I'm dead already." Now, that's the end of that story. And here's what we got. We got 4 on death row and 3 in the graveyard. Who won? Who won? Nobody wins. Nobody wins this. There are no winners. Okay. Safety for children. Okay. Now, I want you to understand that when we're talking about safety for children, we're talking about young children, older children, young adults. Now, I want you to know that these people out there do not all look like, you know who I'm talking about, the guy with the knives in his hand, you know who that is? See, that's right. They don't all look like him. They do not all look like the Penguin. They do not all look like Bluto. They don't look like the Joker. They don't walk down the street with their collars up and their hats down looking like bad guys in the comic books. These guys who want to come up and touch you or have you touch them, they look like fathers. And they look like uncles. And they look like grandfathers. And they look like neighbors because they are fathers and uncles and grandfathers and neighbors. And that's who they look like. And they are not after your money. They want to touch you. They want to touch you or have you touch them. They take the lone child, or the child who is playing with a group but not really playing with the group. It's a lone child. Now, the way they do this is they ask questions, or they make promises, or they offer you something, and sometimes they offer different things to the older one and different things to the younger ones, and it goes like this. Say they ask a question. They'll ask something like, do you know where the Smith people live? Do you know? And then I can't hear you. And then the little girl gets a little closer. And I can't hear you. Come a little closer. And she gets a little closer. And all of a sudden he's got a hold of her and he pulls her right through the window. Sometimes they offer you something. The older ones, they'll offer you money. The younger ones, they'll say, you want a piece of candy? They'll offer you something. If you're very young, sometimes they'll say, hey, look what I've got here. I got this little stuffed animal. Isn't this cute? Why don't you get in my car, little girl? I'll give you this stuffed animal. And whatever works. They're trying to get you into that automobile. Sometimes they're going to say to you, they'll say something, they'll say like, you know, I lost my cat. I cannot find my cat. Would you help me find my cat? My cat, I think, is right down this gangway. Would you come with me and help me find my cat? And this little girl who loves cats, she says, okay. Wrong. We don't want you to do that. Sometimes they'll trick you. They'll say, you know, your mother's in the hospital. She says I should come and get you right away. Get in the car. We have to go to the hospital. We have to go right now. Now get in the car. He's lying. He's trying to trick you. You can't do that. These guys lie to you. They'll say anything that they can and threaten or promise anything to get you into that automobile as fast as they can. Do not go. You got to have a plan. You got to know what you can do. And I'll tell you what you are to do. You are to get out of there. Let's talk about one more thing. As you're running, before you start to run, I want you to remember this. I want you to drop the books. I want you to drop the books. Now, here's a scene that is repeated every September. The father stands in front of the young lady, and he says, young lady, I just spent $43 for these books. I don't want you to leave them on the bus. I don't want you to leave them at the library. I don't want them at Becky's house. I don't want them at Bobby's house. Where these books are, you better be, and where you are, these books better be. I want these books to be with you. And he just reinforced the wrong thing. Then I get the young lady who gets chased down the alley by this guy, and he pulls her panties down and he fondles her. And she's explaining to her father, she says, Daddy, I almost got away, but that book bag is so heavy. And the father's heart is breaking. He reinforced the wrong thing. That goof was not after that little girl for her history book, and he was not after her for her spelling homework. And as you as parents, when you go back there and those books are gone, that's okay too. Now, the tough target is what I want you to be. I want you to be a tough target, and I want you to move out of there. Do not hesitate. Just go. And if you're an older child and you see a younger child approach, I want you to say, hey, get out of here. Get out of there. Come with me. Get out of there. Do not let these people take anybody in your group, in your family. Do not let them take anybody into a car. You don't want that to happen. It's out there. I don't want you to even have a conversation with these people. Do not get into a conversation with them. As soon as they start to talk to you, get out of there. Leave. Now, flee is good, but where do you flee to? Run. You see what you can do right now at your age. You take those 3 quick running steps, and you're going full speed. You learn how, you do that now. You'll never, ever be able to do that again, but you can do that now. Bam! You're out of there. Now, that's what you've got to do, but where do you run? Well, run to where there's people. Go to a fast food store. Get to a convenience store. Get where there are people. You get your knees in the breeze. Get out of there. Now, what this guy wants you to do, he wants to take you to a place that we call a secondary crime scene. He's going to make an approach in a public place, but he's going to take you to a more private place. He wants to take you down a hallway, wants to get you into a car, wants to get you into a van. He wants to take you to a place where he has more control. Why do you think he wants to take you to a place he has more control? He wants to touch you, wants to make you touch him. You're not going to do it. You don't have to do it. This is the way I explain it. If he is trying to touch you on an area that is normally covered by your bathing suit when you have your bathing suit on, that is always wrong. Always. Whether you're a boy or a girl. If he's trying to touch you on an area that is covered by your bathing suit, it's wrong. Even if you don't have the suit on, you know the areas I'm talking about. And if he wants you to touch him in an area that would normally be covered by his bathing suit, that's wrong. Sometimes there are other touches where somebody will come up and touch you on the shoulder, and you're not sure if that's right or wrong. Get away from them. You don't have to put up with that. Tell your mother or your father, somebody is touching me. Tell them. And if this guy touches you, if he takes you into some place and he touches you, and then he says to you, if you tell, I'm going to kill your mother and your father and your dog. He will threaten you. He will say whatever it is necessary to make you feel afraid, because he doesn't want you to tell. The reason he wants to make you feel afraid is because he's afraid that you are going to tell. Now, another thing he's going to say, he says, they won't believe you. You're going to tell, but they won't believe you. Well, I'm telling you right now, your parents will believe you. If you tell them somebody touched you, they're going to believe you. And tell them. And you tell them, you tell your mother and your father. You tell a teacher. You tell somebody you trust. And they will believe you. I also don't want you to take a shortcut down a gangway or down an alley if it's going to put you in a position where you're going into a place where there are no options for you. You can't get away. You can't run. I want you to go where the light is. I want you to stay safe. And that's what you do. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Predators walk with their head up and they're looking around, and the prey look at the ground. I want you to always think about trying to be tough.
One day I was walking to the store, and it was a very nice day out, and I was going back towards my house, and I decided to take a shortcut through the alley because the front door was locked. So I was walking back, and all of a sudden I noticed this guy following me. He was very menacing, very scary looking. So I started to walk a little bit faster. All of a sudden I heard him say, "Excuse me." I didn't want to answer him because I was already shaking. It already scared me. And he just stood there and he looked at me and he made me shake, and I was so petrified. I couldn't believe he was doing this. I was so scared. He just stood there and he looked at me.
Another thing, you're out in the park, you have to go to the bathroom, you go to the washroom, a public washroom. If there's somebody hanging around your washroom, you go bring somebody with you. Either you tell somebody who's another child to come with you, an older brother or sister, your mother, the counselor, the teacher. You do not want to get into that bathroom. Always smart to be smart. I'll tell you something else. When you get on a bus, some of you travel alone. You get on the bus, you stand next to the driver. Or if the bus is empty, you say, okay, excuse me, Mr. Bus Driver, I'm traveling alone. I'm going to sit right over here. Would you call out when we get to Western Avenue, please? And you sit down. And that's this guy's job. He's going to want to help you. I don't want you to sit by the window. I want you to sit by the aisle. If you're sitting next to the window and some big guy sits down next to you, you can't get out. Now, if the bus is crowded, you stand right behind the bus driver, right around the corner, and you say, excuse me, I'm traveling alone. Can I stand here? And he knows what you're saying. He knows what that means. He's going to say, okay, just stand right there. Don't worry about it. You stand right here. You got to remember also that whatever happens, if he cons you, if he tricks you, if he bribes you, if he frightens you, whatever he does to get you to come down there and you let him touch you, or you touch him, it's still not your fault. Tell your mother anyway. It is not your fault. It is never your fault. You didn't ask for it. You just didn't know how to get out of it. Your parents will be able to tell you how to get out of it. Let's talk about one more thing here. I want to talk about crimes where one child is doing the crime on another child. Here's where we got a kid driving his bike. Guy came up to him with a gun and said, get off of the bike, give me the bike. He says no. When he started to run away, the guy with the gun shot him dead. And now I got one in jail and one in the graveyard. Who won? Nobody. That's right, they don't win. If the guy comes up and he's got a gun, give him the bike. I don't care what the bike costs. If they want your jacket, come out of the jacket. It's like the books. You're going to give it up. It's not worth dying for. It really isn't.
One of my friends had a bright blue bike. It was really nice, and you could do a lot of tricks on it. And right away, it caught their eye. So then they asked him if they could ride his bike. We didn't let him because we knew if we said yes, they would take it, and we'd never hear from him again. So we said no, and they asked him one more time. He said no again. So they got in the group, and we started talking, and one of my friends saw that they had a knife. And we panicked, because, a knife, if they stabbed us or tried to do anything with us, we're going to have to fight back, but we didn't want to make any enemies with them. So the next time they asked my friend, we said, fine, let him have the bike, and they took off, and we haven't heard from them since. They have a weapon, let them have what they want, because it's not worth getting killed for.
Let me give you a couple of tips about being at home. It goes like this. When you're at home and the phone rings, and somebody says, can I talk to your mother? I don't want you to say my mother's not home. You say, well, she can't come to the phone right now. That's fine. If they start asking you questions, don't answer. If they start talking to you, if they start asking you questions about your own individual person, you do not answer. The best thing to do is to have that answering machine on. The answering machine is good. I like the answering machine. If you are followed, if you're what we call latchkey kids. A latchkey kid is somebody who comes home, the mother and father are both working, the kid comes home, he's got his own key to the door. If you think you're being followed, run. Run to the fast food store, run to a convenience store. Do not let anybody follow you in. And once you get in that door, you make sure that door is locked behind you. That's very important. If somebody comes and knocks on the door and they try to get in, don't let them in. If somebody comes up to the door and knocks on the door and said that the repairman, they come to fix the sink, or they came to fix the stove, or they come to do whatever they want to do, you don't let them in. If you are worried, you call 911, and you say to the man or the woman who answers 911, somebody is trying to get in the house, they said that they're the repairman, and I'm afraid. And whoever you talk to is going to send the police, and when they send the police is going to take care of this guy. I'm talking about making wise choices. And it's up to you, and you can make the wise choices. Now, there's a movie, it was about Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail. And the old knight, the one who was guarding all the different cups, told those people, he says, choose wisely. That's what I'm telling you. You've got the choice right now. Choose wisely. For the parents, I want to tell you, you've got to be aware. You've got to be aware of what's going on around you. And not just what's going on right in front of you in your whole neighborhood. If you're aware of what's going around you, you're better equipped to handle this stuff. And that's all it has to be. If you talk to your children and they talk to you, you establish an open relationship with your children before you need it, not afterwards. You decide that you are going to have this open relationship with your children, but establish that before you need it, not afterwards. You know, after you work murders and rapes for a long time, there's a certain callus that builds up on you. And that callus can be as thick as you want it to be. But sometimes, some crimes, they come right through that callus. When you put your hand on the body of a dead child and you still feel the warmth from that body, there's no callus in the world that's going to cut through that, that's going to keep that out. That cuts right through. That penetrates. And that's why I do this stuff. Because I'm trying to do prevention.